Your grandson just texted you something. You're holding your phone, staring at it, and you have no idea what he's talking about. That's so mid, Grandma. Mid? You don't understand. You thought you were doing something good. But apparently you're mid? And you don't want to ask him what it means because you're already feeling like you're falling behind. Like the world is moving faster than you can follow. So you just smile and nod when you see him. And you pretend you get it. But you don't. And that gap between you and the world, that gap keeps getting wider. Here's what I want you to know. You're not falling behind. The world is changing. And that's different. And more importantly, you don't have to understand everything. You don't have to be fluent in every new technology or cultural reference. But there are some things worth understanding. Things that will actually make your life easier. Things that will keep you safer. Things that will help you stay connected. Because technology isn't your enemy, it's just a tool. And like any tool, it's only as useful as your relationship with it. Today, I'm going to show you how to build that relationship. Not so you can be cool, but so you can be capable, so you can move through the world without fear, without shame, without feeling left behind. Stay with me. Before I tell you what Dorothy and others are doing, I need to talk about something that's shifted in the world. And it's a shift that actually favors people over 50, even though the culture tells you the opposite. For the last 20 years, the economy has been built around speed, youth, disruption. The startup culture that says, move fast and break things. The influencer economy that says, you need to be young and attractive. The gig economy that says, hustle constantly, be available at all hours. And if you're 50, 60, 65, you've been told that you don't fit this economy anymore, that your time has passed, that the world is for younger people now. But something is changing, and the change is technology, specifically artificial intelligence. And AI doesn't care about your age. It doesn't care if you're trendy. It doesn't require you to be a digital native. It only cares about one thing. Can you think clearly? Can you understand what you're asking it to do? Can you evaluate whether the output is good? And those are things that 50 years of life have actually prepared you for. Let me explain what I mean. When you were 25, you were still figuring out how to think, how to make decisions, how to evaluate information. You had energy, you had flexibility, you had time to waste, but you didn't have judgment. At 55, 60, 65, you have judgment. You've made thousands of decisions. You've seen what works and what doesn't. You understand nuance. You understand context. You understand that most things aren't as simple as they appear on the surface. That's the gift of age. And it's exactly what you need to use AI effectively. Here's a concrete example. I know a man, Robert, who's 62. He was a teacher for 35 years. He understood education. He understood how people learn. He understood what motivates students. And he understood something else. There was a gap in the market. There were no good, affordable online courses for adults who wanted to learn practical skills. The courses that existed were either generic or they cost thousands of dollars. So Robert did something simple. He used ChatGPT, an AI tool, to help him develop a curriculum for an online course on how to write clearly. He gave the AI his teaching philosophy. He told it what he wanted students to learn. He asked it to create lessons exercises, and assessments. The AI did the heavy lifting. But Robert did the thinking. He evaluated every lesson. He rewrote parts that didn't align with his vision. He added his own examples from his years of teaching. Within 6 weeks, he had a complete course. He put it on Udemy, a platform for online courses, and in the first month, he had 100 students. At $37 per course, that's $3,700 in the first month. Now, is he getting rich? No. But he's generating sustainable income, and he's doing it using his experience combined with AI. Here's another example. A woman named Catherine, 59, spent her entire career in marketing. She understood messaging. She understood how to speak to audiences. She understood what makes people pay attention. But she was tired. She'd been in corporate marketing for 30 years, and the pace was exhausting. So she started a freelance business doing something called AI-assisted copywriting. Here's what that means. Companies hire her to write copy for their websites, emails, marketing materials. But instead of writing from scratch, she uses AI to generate initial drafts. Then she uses her 30 years of marketing expertise to refine, rewrite, and perfect those drafts. The AI handles the volume. Catherine handles the quality. And because AI is doing the tedious part, Catherine can take on more clients without working more hours. She charges $1,500 per project. She takes on 2 or 3 projects a month. That's $3,000 to $4,000 a month from home, on her own schedule. Is this replacing younger freelancers? Maybe. But Catherine isn't competing with younger people. She's offering something they can't. Judgment, expertise, the ability to make something good. Here's what's happening in the broader economy. For decades, the way to make money was to have a job, to trade your time for money. And the younger you were, the better. Because you had more time to sell, but the economy is shifting. And now the way to make money is through leverage, through using tools to amplify your work, to do more with less time. And that's where people over 50 have an advantage. Because we already know how to do good work. We already have expertise. We already have judgment. We just need the tool that lets us leverage that work so we don't have to trade our time one for one. That tool is AI. Think about it this way. When you were young, you had to learn your craft through experience. Through thousands of hours of practice, you had to make mistakes and learn from them. You had to build relationships and earn trust. That took time. That took sacrifice. But now that you have that knowledge, now that you have that judgment, you can use AI to amplify it. You can use AI to do the repetitive work, the drafting, the initial thinking, the data processing. And you can use your expertise to evaluate, refine, and perfect the work. And you get paid for the expertise, not for the time. That's a fundamentally different way of making money. And it's actually suited to people who have lived longer, learned more, and understand more. I know a man named David, 68, who was an engineer his whole career. He understands technical concepts. He understands how systems work. He understands what makes sense and what doesn't. He started using AI to generate technical documentation for companies. A company will say, "We need documentation for this software system." David tells the AI about the system, describes how it works. The AI generates initial documentation. David reviews it. He knows whether the explanation is clear. He knows whether it's accurate. He knows whether it answers the questions customers actually have. He refines it, perfects it, delivers it. The company pays him $2,000 for a project that takes him 15 hours, $133 per hour, for work that he's doing from his home office. And he could take on multiple projects simultaneously because the AI is doing the initial generation. Here's the pattern I'm seeing with people over 50 who are making money with AI. 1. They have genuine expertise. They've done real work in their field for decades. 2. They use AI to handle the volume, to generate options, to do the tedious, repetitive work. 3. They use their judgment to evaluate, refine, and perfect the work. 4. They get paid for their judgment and expertise, not for their time. This is not about making millions. This is about generating real sustainable income. $3,000 a month, $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month. For someone on a fixed income, on Social Security, with a modest pension, this is transformative. This is the difference between barely getting by and actually living comfortably. This is the difference between waiting to die and actually building something. And it's available to you right now, today. If you have expertise, if you have judgment, and if you're willing to learn to use AI as a tool, you can do this. The age thing, that's not a barrier, that's an asset, because experience matters. Judgment matters, wisdom matters. And for the first time, there is a technology that values those things, that amplifies them, that lets you trade your wisdom for income instead of trading your time. That's what's changing. That's what Dorothy understood. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do. Let me show you 5 specific ways that people over 50 are using AI to generate income right now. Not theoretical ways, real ways, with real people doing real work. Way 1, AI-assisted consulting. This is what Robert did with his online course, but it scales to other fields too. The model is simple. You take your expertise and you create products or services using AI to handle the heavy lifting. I know a woman named Susan, 61, who spent 30 years in human resources. She understands hiring. She understands employee management. She understands workplace dynamics. She started offering consulting services to small businesses that are hiring. She uses ChatGPT to draft job descriptions based on the company's needs. She uses it to create interview questions. She uses it to develop onboarding processes. Then she uses her 30 years of HR expertise to perfect those drafts. She charges small businesses $2,000 per hiring project. She can do 3 or 4 projects a month. That's $6,000 to $8,000 for work that she's doing from her kitchen table on her own schedule. The key is this: the business doesn't hire her to use AI. They hire her for her expertise. The AI is just the tool that lets her deliver more efficiently. Way 2, content creation and publishing. This is what Dorothy is doing. She spent her career as a writer, magazine articles, corporate communications, marketing copy. She retired, and she thought that was it. Her writing career was over. But then she realized she could use AI to generate ideas and initial drafts. So she started writing articles for Medium, a platform where writers can publish and get paid based on views. She pitches article ideas. She uses ChatGPT to help her brainstorm and outline. She writes the article herself using the AI-generated outline as a guide. Medium pays her based on how many people read her articles. She's making $2,000 to $3,000 a month, writing the thing she loved her whole life, and now she's getting paid for it in retirement. The key is this: she's not letting AI write for her. She's using it as a thinking partner. Way 3, freelance services. This is the copywriting model Catherine uses, but it applies to many fields. You offer a specific service. You use AI to generate options. You use your expertise to refine them. I know a man named Michael, 63, who was a graphic designer. He thought his career was over when he retired. Graphic design is a young person's game, or so he thought. But he realized he could offer graphic design services using AI image generators to create options. He pitches a project. He tells the client what he's envisioning. He uses AI tools like Midjourney or Dolly to generate multiple design options. He evaluates them. He knows which ones are good, which ones miss the mark. He refines them. He delivers polished designs to his clients. He charges $1,500 to $3,000 per project. He takes on 1 or 2 projects a month. That's $2,000 to $6,000. The key is this: the client isn't hiring him for the AI tool. They're hiring him for his design judgment. Way 4, data analysis and reporting. This is less obvious, but it's powerful. Companies have data. They need to understand what that data means. They need reports, insights, recommendations. AI is incredibly good at analyzing data and finding patterns. But AI can't understand what the patterns mean, what they matter for, what a company should do about them. That requires human judgment. I know a woman named Patricia, 65, who was a financial analyst her whole career. She understands financial data. She understands what matters and what doesn't. She started offering data analysis services to small companies. She uses AI tools to analyze their data, to find trends, to spot anomalies. Then she uses her 30 years of financial expertise to interpret that data and make recommendations. She charges companies $2,000 to $5,000 per analysis. She can do 2 or 3 analyses a month. That's $4,000 to $15,000. Way 5, teaching and training. This is the course model that Robert uses, but it extends to live teaching as well. You have expertise, you create educational content. You use AI to help you develop the content and automate parts of the delivery. I know a man named James, 60. I know a man named James, 64, who spent his career as a project manager. He understood how to organize people, how to manage timelines, how to deliver projects on budget. He started offering online training courses in project management. He uses AI to help him organize his curriculum, to create lesson outlines, to develop quizzes and exercises. But he teaches the courses himself. He records videos. He answers student questions. He provides feedback. The AI handles the administrative side. James provides the expertise and the teaching. He sells his course for $97. He has 300 students. That's $29,000 from the initial course. Plus, he's constantly enrolling new students. So, it's ongoing income. Now, here's what I want you to understand about all 5 of these models. None of them require you to be a technology expert. None of them require you to be young or trendy. None of them require you to work 80 hours a week. They all require one thing: genuine expertise. You have to actually know something. You have to have judgment about whether the work is good. That's the barrier to entry, not technology expertise. And if you've worked for 30, 40, 50 years in any field, you have that expertise. The technology is just a tool that lets you leverage it. Here's the beautiful part. The people who are succeeding with AI right now aren't the young tech bros. They're the people with real expertise, the former teachers, the former engineers, the former designers, the former project managers, because they understand their field deeply enough to know when AI is right and when it's wrong. They understand their customers deeply enough to know what they actually need, and they have the judgment to make something good. The economy is shifting, and right now, in this moment, people over 50 have an advantage because we have the expertise, we have the judgment. And the young people who grew up with technology but don't have real-world experience, they're struggling. They know how to use the tools, but they don't know what to build. You know what to build. You just need to learn to use the tools. And that's the easy part. That's the part I'm going to show you in the next block. Now I'm going to tell you exactly how to get started. Not eventually, not when you've taken 17 courses and feel ready, but this week, today, in the next hour. Because getting started is simpler than you think, and waiting is the only thing that actually stops you. Step 1, identify your expertise. This is the foundation, and it's not as hard as you think. You're not looking for something grand. You're not looking for a revolutionary idea. You're looking for something you know better than most people. It could be your profession. If you were a nurse, a teacher, a manager, an accountant, a designer, that's expertise, a hobby you've spent decades on. If you've been gardening for 40 years, if you've been cooking, if you've been woodworking, that's expertise, a problem you've solved. If you've raised kids, if you've managed money, if you've built something, if you've fixed something, that's expertise. I want you to write down 3 things you know well, 3 areas where you have genuine knowledge, not things you think you should know. Things you actually know. Robert knew education, Catherine knew marketing, Dorothy knew writing. What do you know? Write it down. Right now, don't overthink it. Step 2, identify the problem you solve. Every expertise solves a problem. Teachers solve the problem of learning. Marketing experts solve the problem of reaching audiences. Writers solve the problem of communicating clearly. What problem does your expertise solve? Who has that problem and would pay money to solve it? Dorothy knew that people wanted to write better. There's a market for that. Robert knew that businesses needed employees hired well. There's a market for that. What problem do you solve? Who needs that problem solved? Write down one problem, one audience. Step 3, understand what AI can do. You don't need to be a technician, but you need to understand what AI is good at. AI is good at generating initial drafts, blog posts, emails, outlines, ideas, analyzing data, finding patterns in numbers and information, answering questions. You ask it something, it tells you, creating images. You describe something, it creates it. Coding. You describe what you want, it writes code. Brainstorming. You explore ideas with it. AI is not good at understanding context. It doesn't know your specific situation the way you do. Making judgment calls. It doesn't know what's right for your customers. Creating something original and unique. It remixes what it's seen before. Understanding emotion or nuance. It's logical, not intuitive. Now here's the key. Your job is to use AI for what it's good at and provide judgment for what it's not good at. Step 4. Choose a platform or tool. You need to pick the tool that matches your expertise and the work you want to do. For writing and content creation, ChatGPT, Claude, or Jasper. For image creation, Midjourney, DALL-E, or Canva with AI. For course creation, Teachable, Kajabi, or Thinkific. These have AI features built in. For freelance work, Upwork, or Fiverr, where you can offer AI-assisted services. For publishing, Medium, Substack, or YouTube, where you can share content and get paid. For consulting, Calendly, to schedule, Zoom, to deliver, Stripe, or PayPal, to get paid. You don't need all of these. You need one or two. Pick the one that matches what you want to do. Step 5, create your first offering. This is where people get stuck. They want to create something perfect. They want to plan it all out. Don't. Create something simple. Something you can do this week. If you're doing consulting, offer one service, one price, one outcome. If you're creating content, write one article or one email sequence. If you're creating a course, record 5 short lessons. 10 minutes each is plenty. If you're offering freelance services, create 3 sample projects that show your work. Don't spend weeks preparing. Spend 3 days creating something simple, then put it out there. Step 6. Learn to use AI for that specific task. Once you know what you're creating, you can learn to use AI for that specific task. You don't need to learn everything about AI. You need to learn how to use it for your thing. If you're writing, you learn. How do I use ChatGPT to help me outline and brainstorm? If you're creating courses, you learn. How do I use AI to organize my curriculum? If you're doing consulting, you learn. How do I use AI to analyze my client's situation? There are YouTube tutorials for every specific use case. 45-minute tutorials that will teach you exactly what you need to know. Find one, watch it. Practice for 2 hours. You'll know enough. Step 7. Start small and track results. Your first offering won't be perfect. That's okay. Put it out there. See who responds. Learn what works. Dorothy's first articles got 500 views. Now they get 5,000. Robert's first course had 50 students. Now he has 200. Catherine's first freelance project took her 3 times as long as her projects now. You're learning as you go. Track what works. Double down on that. Let go of what doesn't. This is the real work, not technology, but learning what your customers actually want. Step 8. Iterate and improve. Once you have something out there, improve it. Use AI to help you improve it. What did people respond to? How can you make it better? Ask ChatGPT. What questions would someone have about this topic? Ask ChatGPT. How could I explain this more clearly? Ask ChatGPT. What's missing from this course? Use the AI as a thinking partner to make your work better. Now, here's the truth that people don't want to hear. You won't make money overnight. Dorothy made $500 her first month. Now she makes $3,000. Robert made nothing his first month. By month 3, he was making $2,000. Catherine didn't get her first client for 2 months, but once she did, the work piled up. This isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. This is building a sustainable income stream. It takes time, but it takes less time than starting a business the old way. It takes less money. It takes less energy. And once it's built, it's relatively passive. You're not trading time for money hour after hour. Here's what I want you to do. starting today. 1. Write down your 3 areas of expertise. 2. Write down one problem you solve and one audience who has that problem. 3. Watch one YouTube tutorial about using AI for your specific task. 4. Create one simple offering. 5. Put it out there. That's it. That's the path. Not complicated, not expensive, not requiring years of preparation. Just identify what you know, use AI to amplify it, help people solve their problems, get paid. And the beautiful thing is, you're uniquely positioned to do this because you have expertise that 25-year-olds don't have. You have judgment that nobody can buy. You have experience that's invaluable. All you need is the tool that lets you leverage those things. And that tool exists right now, today. You just have to decide to use it. Now, I know what's happening in your mind right now because I've heard these fears 1,000 times, and they're real. They're not irrational, but they're also not insurmountable. So let me address them directly. Fear number 1. I'm not technical enough. This is the biggest one. And it's based on a misunderstanding about what you need to know. You don't need to understand how AI works. You don't need to understand the code. You don't need to understand neural networks or machine learning. You need to know how to use it. And using ChatGPT is simpler than using email. Seriously. You go to chatgpt.com, you type in what you want, gives you an answer. That's it. You don't need to know anything about technology. You need to be able to type in English, and you can do that. I worked with a woman named Margaret, 68. She barely uses email. She doesn't have social media. She types with 2 fingers. And last month, she made $2,000 using AI. How? She wrote down her knowledge. She gave it to ChatGPT. She refined what came back, that's all. No coding, no tech knowledge, no special skills. If Margaret can do it, you can do it. Fear number 2. I don't have anything valuable to offer. This is the fear of not being good enough. You're thinking, my expertise is outdated. Nobody wants what I know. I'm not special, but here's the truth. People pay for expertise all the time. They pay for solutions to problems. If you've solved a problem, if you understand something, if you can help someone else navigate something you've navigated, that's valuable. James was just a project manager. Nothing fancy. But people pay him to teach them project management because he's good at it. Robert was just a teacher. But his knowledge about how people learn is valuable. Your ordinariness is actually your strength. Because most people feel ordinary. They don't want to learn from gurus. They want to learn from people like them. From someone who's actually lived it, who's actually solved the problem. That's you. Fear number 3. What if nobody buys what I'm offering? This is a real risk. It's possible nobody will buy. But here's what's also true. It's free to find out. You can create a course on Udemy for free. You put it on the platform. It costs nothing. You can write articles on Medium for free. You submit them. It costs nothing. You can offer a service on Fiverr for free to start. You build a portfolio. It costs nothing. The only thing you lose is time. And you lose that anyway if you don't try. But here's what I've learned. If you've genuinely solved a problem, if you actually understand something, people will buy. Maybe not right away. Maybe not in huge numbers. But they will buy. Because there's always a market for good information, for real expertise, for helpful guidance. Fear. Number 4, this feels like cheating. Using AI to make money feels dishonest. I understand this fear. There's something that feels inauthentic about using a tool to amplify your work. But let me ask you this. Is using a word processor cheating? Is using email cheating? Is using a calculator cheating? Of course not. They're tools. AI is a tool, a powerful one, but a tool. And you're using it exactly the way it's meant to be used, to amplify your expertise, not replace it. You're still the one thinking. You're still the one judging. You're still the one providing value. The AI is just handling the repetitive work. That's not cheating. That's efficiency. Here's an analogy. A master chef doesn't peel all the vegetables herself. She has assistants for that. Her expertise isn't in peeling vegetables. It's in knowing what tastes good and how to combine flavors. She uses tools and assistants to handle the tedious work so she can focus on her expertise. That's what you're doing with AI. Fear number 5. I don't have time for this. This is the time fear. You're thinking, I'm already busy. I don't have energy for a new project. But here's what's actually true. This doesn't require more time than you already have. You need 3 to 5 hours a week. That's it. 1 hour to think about what you're creating. 1 hour to set it up. 1 hour to learn the AI tool. 1 hour to create your first offering. 1 hour a week to maintain it. That's 5 hours. You can find 5 hours. And once it's built, it requires less time than a job. Dorothy spends maybe 5 hours a week on her writing now. She makes $3,000 a month. That's $600 per hour for 5 hours of work. Compare that to a job where you work 40 hours for maybe $4,000. This is actually more efficient with your time, not less. Fear number 6. What if AI replaces me? What if my skills become worthless? This is the existential fear, the fear that you're becoming obsolete. But here's the truth. AI isn't replacing people who understand their field. AI is replacing people who do repetitive work without judgment. The people who are thriving with AI are the ones with deep expertise. The people who are struggling are the ones who thought they could just show up and do the work without thinking. Your expertise, your judgment, your understanding, those become more valuable in an AI world, not less. Because good judgment is scarce. Easy to replicate work is not. Fear number 7. What if I'm too old? What if I can't keep up? You're not too old. You're the right age because you have the expertise, you have the judgment, you have perspective. You just need to learn to use one tool. And if you can use email, you can use ChatGPT. If you can use Google, you can use an AI image generator. This isn't rocket science. It's simpler than most technology you've already learned. And you learn that when you are already 50 or 60 or 70. You can learn this too. Here's what I want you to understand. Every fear you have is normal, and every fear has been overcome by people just like you. Margaret was scared. Now she's making $2,000 a month. James was scared. Now he's teaching hundreds of students. Catherine was scared. Now she's booked with consulting clients for 3 months. They didn't overcome their fear by waiting until it went away. They overcame it by taking one small step and then another. You can do the same thing. Here's a simple 3-step process to move through fear. Step 1, acknowledge the fear. Name it. I'm afraid nobody will buy. I'm afraid I'm not smart enough. Step 2, ask whether it's true. Is it actually true? Or is it a story you're telling yourself? Usually it's a story, it feels true, but it's not actually true. Step 3. Do it anyway. Take the action despite the fear. That's it. That's how you move through fear. Not by waiting until you feel brave, not by waiting until you feel ready, but by acknowledging the fear and taking action anyway. You can do this. You can identify your expertise. You can learn to use an AI tool. You can create something simple. You can put it out there. And you can start making money, not someday, not when you feel ready, not when you're sure it'll work. But now, this week, today, the fear will be there. That's okay. Do it anyway. But here's what's actually true. This doesn't require more time than you already have. You need 3 to 5 hours a week. That's it. 1 hour to think about what you're creating. 1 hour to set it up. 1 hour to learn the AI tool. 1 hour to create your first offering. 1 hour a week to maintain it. That's 5 hours. You can find 5 hours. And once it's built, it requires less time than a job. Dorothy spends maybe 5 hours a week on her writing now. She makes $3,000 a month. That's $600 per hour for 5 hours of work. Compare that to a job where you work 40 hours for maybe $4,000. This is actually more efficient with your time, not less. Fear number 6. What if AI replaces me? What if my skills become worthless? This is the existential fear, the fear that you're becoming obsolete. But here's the truth. AI isn't replacing people who understand their field. AI is replacing people who do repetitive work without judgment. The people who are thriving with AI are the ones with deep expertise. The people who are struggling are the ones who thought they could just show up and do the work without thinking. Your expertise, your judgment, your understanding, those become more valuable in an AI world, not less. Because good judgment is scarce. Easy to replicate work is not. Fear number 7. What if I'm too old? What if I can't keep up? You're not too old. You're the right age because you have the expertise, you have the judgment, you have the perspective. You just need to learn to use one tool. And if you can use email, you can use ChatGPT. If you can use Google, you can use an AI image generator. This isn't rocket science. It's simpler than most technology you've already learned. And you learn that when you are already 50 or 60 or 70. You can learn this too. Here's what I want you to understand. Every fear you have is normal, and every fear has been overcome by people just like you. Margaret was scared. Now she's making $2,000 a month. James was scared. Now he's teaching hundreds of students. Catherine was scared. Now she's booked with consulting clients for 3 months. They didn't overcome their fear by waiting until it went away. They overcame it by taking one small step and then another. You can do the same thing. Here's a simple 3-step process to move through fear. Step 1, acknowledge the fear. Name it. I'm afraid nobody will buy. I'm afraid I'm not smart enough. Step 2, ask whether it's true. Is it actually true? Or is it a story you're telling yourself? Usually it's a story, it feels true, but it's not actually true. Step 3, do it anyway. Take the action despite the fear. That's it. That's how you move through fear. Not by waiting until you feel brave, not by waiting until you feel ready, but by acknowledging the fear and taking action anyway. You can do this. You can identify your expertise. You can learn to use an AI tool. You can create something simple. You can put it out there. and you can start making money, not someday, not when you feel ready, not when you're sure it'll work, but now, this week, today. The fear will be there, that's okay. Do it anyway. But at 59, she was exhausted. The pace was relentless. The politics were draining. And she realized, I don't want to do this for 6 more years until I can fully retire, so she quit. She didn't have a plan. She just knew she couldn't keep going. She took 2 months off, really off, no emails, no work, no stress. And she started thinking about what she was actually good at, marketing, specifically copywriting. She could take a product and write about it in a way that made people want to buy it. That skill hadn't gone anywhere. She still had it. But what if she didn't have to do it for one company, working 40 hours a week? What if she offered it as a freelance service? She discovered Upwork, a platform where freelancers offer services, and she created a service, AI-assisted copywriting for small businesses. Here's what she offers. A small business hires her. They need copy for their website or their emails or their sales pages. She has a conversation with them. She understands their business, their customers, what they're trying to accomplish. She goes to ChatGPT and gives it all that information. She says, create 5 versions of a sales page for this business. ChatGPT creates 5 versions. She looks at them. None of them are quite right, but they give her ideas. She rewrites them. She uses her marketing expertise to make them compelling. She makes them speak to the actual customers. She sends them to the client. The client is amazed. They expected something generic. Instead, they got something that actually works. She charges $1,500 per project. In her first 2 months, she had no clients. She was building her portfolio. Then she got her first client, a small e-commerce business. She created copy for their website. It worked. They paid her. They referred her to another client. Now, 6 months later, she's booked 3 months in advance. She's doing 2 or 3 projects a month. That's $3,000 to $4,500. She's working maybe 30 hours a week. That's $100 to $150 per hour for work she actually enjoys, work that uses her expertise. And she's not exhausted anymore. She's not burned out because she's in control. She chooses her clients. She sets her hours. She does the work she cares about. Michael's story. Michael was a graphic designer for 40 years. He had clients. He had awards. He had a reputation, but at 63, he couldn't compete with 25-year-old designers willing to work for nothing. He thought his career was over. He thought he'd have to find something else to do. But he realized, the thing that's valuable about my work isn't my ability to use design software. It's my judgment, my understanding of what looks good, what communicates clearly, what works. He discovered AI image generators like Midjourney, and he thought, I can use this to create design options for clients. Then I can refine them using my expertise. He started offering design services to small businesses and startups. Here's his process. A client comes to him. They need a logo, or product packaging, or marketing materials. He has a conversation with them. He understands their brand, their customers, what they're trying to communicate. He goes to Midjourney and creates multiple design concepts using AI. He looks at the options. He evaluates them using 30 years of design knowledge. Which ones work? Which ones miss the mark? He refines the ones that are close. He uses design software to perfect them. He presents them to the client. The client gets 3 to 5 professional design concepts for a fraction of what traditional design costs. He charges $1,500 to $3,000 per project. He's doing 2 to 3 projects a month. That's $3,000 to $9,000. And the beautiful part, he's doing the work he's always done, being creative, using his judgment, making things look beautiful. He's just doing it more efficiently, with less manual labor. Patricia's story. Patricia was a financial analyst for 40 years. She analyzed numbers, she found patterns, she made recommendations. At 65, she retired. But she missed the work, she missed the mental stimulation. She realized companies need financial analysis. She realized companies need financial analysis. They need someone who understands what the numbers mean. But she didn't want to work full-time at a company again. She discovered AI data analysis tools, and she thought, I can offer analysis services using AI to do the heavy lifting. She started offering financial analysis consulting to small businesses. Here's her process. A business hires her. They want to understand their finances. They want to know where they're spending money, where they're making money, what they could improve. They send her their financial data. She uploads it to an AI data analysis tool. She gives it instructions. Analyze this data, find trends, find anomalies, find opportunities. The AI analyzes it, gives her charts, summaries, patterns. She looks at it. She uses 40 years of financial expertise to interpret it, to understand what it means, to see the opportunities. She creates a report with her analysis and recommendations. She sends it to the client. The client is amazed. They have clarity they didn't have before. They know where to focus. She charges $2,000 to $5,000 per analysis. She's doing 2 to 3 analyses a month. That's $4,000 to $15,000. And she's only working about 15 hours a week. For her, it's perfect. She gets the mental stimulation. She gets to use her expertise. She makes good money. And she gets to be retired. She sets her own schedule. She takes time off whenever she wants. Now, here's what I want you to see in all these stories. None of these people are tech geniuses. None of them quit their jobs with a master plan. They all had one thing, genuine expertise. And they all used AI the same way, to amplify their expertise, not replace it. They didn't let AI write their articles or design their logos or make their recommendations. They used AI to help them think, to generate options, to handle the tedious work. And then they used their judgment, their expertise, their knowledge, and they got paid for that expertise. That's what's possible for you, not because you're special, not because you're uniquely talented, but because you have expertise. You've lived 50, 60, 70 years. You know things. And there's a tool that lets you leverage that knowledge in a way that wasn't possible before. These 5 people aren't exceptions, they're examples. They're showing you what becomes possible when you decide to use what you know, when you decide that your expertise has value, that your judgment matters, that you still have something to contribute, and more importantly, that you can get paid for it. If you're still here with me, if you've watched all the way through these stories about people making real money with AI, I want to invite you into something. Subscribe to this channel, because what we're building here isn't just about making money, it's about reclaiming your value. For years, you've been told that your best years are behind you, that your time has passed, that you should just be grateful to exist quietly on the sidelines. And we're saying no. We're saying your expertise matters, your judgment matters, your experience is valuable, and there are people who will pay for it. So stay with us. Bring your questions, the ones about getting started, about which platform to use, about how much you can realistically make. We're going to answer them together. Now, here's something I want to say directly. If you're watching this and thinking, this sounds great, but I don't have expertise, I didn't have a career, I stayed home, I did other things, I want you to know, you have expertise too. If you've raised children, you understand human development. You understand patience. You understand motivation. If you've managed a household, you understand organization. You understand problem solving. You understand efficiency. If you've navigated life's challenges, you understand resilience. You understand perspective. You understand what matters. These are all valuable. These are all things people will pay to learn. Your expertise doesn't have to come from a traditional career. It can come from life. So don't dismiss this because you think you don't have anything valuable to offer. You do. You just need to recognize it. Now let me tell you what comes next. Because making money with AI is the first step, but there is something deeper happening. There's a shift in how you see yourself, in what you believe is possible. When you create something, when people respond to it, when you make money from your expertise, something changes inside you. You stop seeing yourself as old. You start seeing yourself as valuable. You stop thinking about decline. You start thinking about what's still possible. You stop waiting to die. You start building something. And that shift is worth more than the money. The money is just the evidence that the shift is real. So as we move into the final block, I want you to think about that. Not just about how much money you could make, but about how your relationship with yourself might change if you decided your expertise mattered. If you decided you still have something to contribute, if you decided that the next chapter of your life is about creation, not just consumption, that's where the real transformation is. And it's waiting for you. I want to leave you with an image. It's a Tuesday morning. Dorothy is sitting at her favorite cafe with a coffee. Her laptop is open. She's reading comments on her latest article. People telling her how her writing helped them, how they finally understand something they've been struggling with. One comment says, "This changed my life, thank you." And Dorothy is crying. Not sad tears, grateful tears, because 6 months ago she thought her career was over. She thought her value was gone. She thought she was just waiting to retire and fade away. But here she is, creating, contributing, making a difference, making money doing something she loves. And the tool that made this possible, an AI that generates text, a platform that lets her publish, a simple idea that her expertise matters. That's the transformation I'm talking about, not becoming a tech person, not learning to code, not reinventing yourself into someone you're not, but recognizing who you already are, what you already know, what you already have to offer, and using the tools available to amplify that. Here's what I know after talking to hundreds of people over 50 who are using AI. The money is real. $3,000 a month, $5,000, $10,000. It's achievable. But the real value is something else. It's the moment when you realize, I'm not done. I still have something to offer. I still matter. It's the moment when you stop thinking about decline and start thinking about contribution. It's the moment when you realize that your age isn't a liability. It's an asset, that your experience isn't obsolete. It's valuable, that the 50 or 60 or 70 years you've lived have actually prepared you for this moment. Right now, in this moment, there's a technology that rewards expertise, that rewards judgment, that rewards the kind of wisdom that only comes from actually living. And you have that. You've always had that. You just needed to see it and to have a tool that lets you share it. That tool exists now, and the window to use it, it won't stay open forever. Because the people who understand this now, who take action now, they're the ones building the future. They're the ones who will look back in 5 years and think, I'm so glad I started. And the people who wait, who keep thinking, maybe someday, they'll look back and think, I wish I had. So here's what I want from you. Do the thing I said in block 4. Write down your 3 areas of expertise, not tomorrow, today, right now. After you finish watching this, write it down, look at it, let it sink in. You know things, real things, valuable things. And there are people who need to know those things. Subscribe to this channel because we're going to keep showing you the how, the specific steps, the tools, the strategies. We're building a community of people over 50 who are deciding that their expertise matters, that their value isn't done, that the best is still ahead. Join us. Share this with 5 people, your friend who's retired and bored, your sibling who's wondering about the future, your neighbor who thinks they don't have anything left to offer. Tell them, you're wrong. Your expertise matters. And there's a way to make money from it. Leave a comment. Tell me, what's your expertise? What do you know well? What problem do you solve? And ask me, what should my next step be? Because your voice matters here. Your story matters. Your possibilities matter. You're not too old. You're not too late. You're not irrelevant. You're exactly the right age to do this. You have exactly what the world needs right now: wisdom, experience, judgment, expertise. All you need to do is decide that it matters. And then take one small step. That's all it takes. One step today, this week. And the rest unfolds from there. The money will follow, the confidence will grow, the contributions will multiply. But it all starts with one decision. My knowledge has value. Make that decision. And then watch what becomes possible. I'll see you in the next conversation.